Welcome to episode 11 of the Rebel Army podcast. This week, we're doing it slightly different as we have a little chat amongst ourselves about how the season has gone so far and look forward to some fixtures ahead. Yeah, welcome back to the Rebel Army podcast. Joined as always by Aaron. How are you?
Not too bad, Stephen. How are you?
You were away for the weekend.
I was in London for the weekend and
took in a lot of football, did you?
I did. Yeah, I got 2 matches in.
Plus 2 matches on the laptop
physically
as well, did you?
at 2 matches and watched 2 matches from afar as well. But we went over for the FA Cup semi, but while we were there on the Saturday, we tried to take in another game. And Watford were playing Hull, so we got tickets for that and went to that.
Was
and,
it easy to get tickets for that? No.
Yeah, they were still on sale. We actually bought them in the queue to board the plane when we were in Cork Airport. We were looking at what was on and we bought them then.
As a matter of interest now, how much is it to go to a Watford game?
I think they were like £30 each. What's that, €35
Championship
each?
level would be quite good, like.
Yeah, do you know what? It was actually the first game, I think, ever. I left early. It was a boring 0-0 draw. It was actually, even the atmosphere of it was so flat.
Are both clubs kind of neither in playoff kind of contention or relegation, or what's the story?
I don't know. Like, as far as I thought Hull, I should have checked the table, but I thought Hull were kind of up there in the playoffs, so I thought there would have been something at stake. But it was so, at times it was like a bit of a pre-season friendly, and the atmosphere itself was flat. Like, if we were joking about it over there with the lads, like, every day of the week you'd pick a League of Ireland game over that in terms of the atmosphere and the buzz around the place, but now it could have just been an off day for both sides as well.
Yeah, and their season is coming to an end. I mean, I think is there only about 2 weeks left in the championship. I'm sure it does not finish early, I think
it finishes a bit earlier, yeah, because they have to get the playoffs out of the way and stuff like that. But I was kind of shocked. Obviously now the stadium was brilliant, and it's like, I love going to a new stadium and new grounds like that, and it was great to see it.
Any sign of Elton John, no?
No, he's painted on all the walls over there anyway. He's everywhere and they're playing his music before the games and all. But yeah, I was kind of surprised at how flat it was. Obviously there was a bit of a Cork City connection as well because Sean McLaughlin was playing for Hull. Well, he was on the bench. I don't think he actually got on. He didn't get on before we left anyway. He might have come on towards the end.
They've had a few former Cork City players. I mean, Dave Moyler was with them for years. And who else was there?
The thing with Sean McLaughlin being there as well, you'd often, League of Ireland clubs, not just Cork City in general, would sell a player to a club in England and they end up moving around. Sean's been there, for 2019 I think he left.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting. But
he's there a while.
There's a lot of people that move from Cork to clubs and stuff like that over the years and might go under the radar. I think Caoimhín Kelleher's brother plays for like a League 2 side or something, doesn't he?
He is, yeah. Fiacre is his name, I think, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure where he is.
You never hear about them.
Yeah.
You know, they'd have a huge career.
You'd only kind of hear about them when they hit a certain level. Or
if they get to the final of, let's say, FA Trophy or something, or they get to a playoff final or something, and then there might be a feature about them. But
yeah,
they're professionals.
It'd be interesting to see how many players from Cork
are playing over
the county of Cork in general, are over there that kind of have gone under the radar for not just the general football fan, but Cork City fans that we may not have even known about the player being over there. But yeah, it's an interesting one, all right.
Yeah, but I'd say, like, what facilities good? I'd imagine they are.
Oh, facilities were brilliant, yeah.
They were a Premier League side for a good few years as well.
Only up until a few years ago, yeah. So facilities, like, that's what we were saying, like, in terms of facilities, that's night and day difference between the League of Ireland. But again, the atmosphere, I was so surprised at how flat the atmosphere was, and not just kind of in my section of the ground, the whole ground was flat. The whole away end was quite good, but away ends are always good. Do you know what I mean?
And was it, like, in terms of from the centre of London to get there, like, was it easier?
It was a bit out, all right. See, we flew into Luton, so it's kind of, Watford's on the way from Luton into the city centre, so we kind of stopped off. But I think it took us about half an hour to get into the centre then afterwards. But yeah, it's a good experience, but
it wasn't flat in Wembley the day after, right?
No, that was an excitable one. Yeah, great game for a neutral to watch, I'd say. But yeah, sure, you know yourself, Wembley, like, incredible atmosphere. Ended up being there longer than I thought. 3-0 at one point, so you'd think the game is done.
I was watching on the telly, and I think, was it 3 hours by the time it completely finished, by the time of penalties and everything, with all the added time in normal play and everything. It's a long...
Yeah, and we actually got there a good bit before the match, so we were probably there 4 or 5 hours, I'd say. But yeah, a good day out.
The lovely stadium. Actually, I was only there for the first time just for the tour there last year, and it's really nice, actually. Yeah.
I've been at a few games there now. It's atmosphere there is ridiculous all the time. Even I was at like a Community Shield a couple of years ago, and still it was incredible. But between those 2 games, then we left Vicarage Road, got back to where we were staying, and Cork City were on. So that was that was the main one. That was the main one that needed to be watched and covered.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a shaky start against Longford.
It was. Do you know
Bit
what?
of a surprise, I'd say, against run and play. Maybe it was like 1.5 minutes or something in. Like,
Yeah, it was the second minute, I think. I actually missed the first couple of minutes of the match, so we were delayed getting back, and so I had to text Aina. Aina actually covered the first couple of minutes on Twitter, and saw the notification come in. Adiemo scored after 2 minutes, and I was like, oh, God. But do you know what? I was kind of thinking during the week, I weirdly thought they'd score against us simply because we'd gone so long without conceding a goal. I don't know why. I was just like,
forgot that.
We got out of there with a 3-1 or a 4-1, but it's only the third goal we've conceded all season. So, still rarely go going. Like,
we are like the rest of the 4 goals were all set pieces.
4 set pieces, 2 goals each for the centre halves. Brilliant, isn't it?
I mean, they must have been they had to be practicing that during the week. Like, I mean, there was one or two of them look similar. They were trying to kick the ball off to the far post, kind of, and then there was flick-ons. You know, there was good headers as well. Like, but
yeah. Do you know what though? Set piece goals. If you're a team that can get set goals from set pieces reliably and consistently, that's a really big weapon to have. Like, that's something where you become a danger. You know, corners a lot of time it's swung in, it's headed clear, it's a nothing chance. But if like we've the big centre halves now going in getting headers like that, that's
Charlie and Keane are big guys, like,
exactly.
And I'd say they're a handful for defenders. You can see them when they're coming into the, and sometimes it's not even defenders marking them. Sometimes it's the forward is marking them as well. Like,
yeah, it's just getting people on them. They have a couple of goals each this season now because they got the 2 that day. I think Coleman scored against UCD at the Cross. Charlie scored against who did Charlie score against? It's definitely his 3rd goal this season anyway because he scored already.
Yeah,
but
I'd say Keane must have 4, is he? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You know these things, but yeah, you lose track after.
To be fair, it's not centre half scoring records aren't something you'd be looking at too often. Like,
no,
but yeah, no, it was good. Look, it's another win. It's 7 points clear at the top now, which is absolutely brilliant.
And the goal difference is a plus 14 or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. I'd imagine. Yeah,
17 goals for, 3 against, or something like that.
Yeah,
but like when you look at, then nobody has double digits in the goal difference. We're 8 points clear. Because, I mean, Cove did us a favour again as well, didn't they?
They did. They beat Harps, yeah.
Which that was a surprise, to be honest. I thought, you know...
They've beaten them twice now because they played them away earlier in the season. That was meant to be played at the Cross, but that was switched. And they beat them, I don't know, was it 1-0 or 2-0 that time as well, but that's 2 wins over Harps now for Cove this year.
So it's, there's a gap already after only 11 games.
Yeah. And we have Harps on Friday. So the gap could extend further.
It could, and UCD are away to treaty, like, so
which will be a tricky one for UCD as well. A draw there would be good.
So, and then all of a sudden, I think the teams after the 2 of them, so let's say they're at I think there's an 8-point gap between us and the 2 of them, and then I think there's 3 points after that for the 1 or 2 others. But so, you know, all of a sudden we could be into the 10-point zone, which is early. No, it's very early in the season.
Yeah,
to have such a big gap, but it's nice.
It is. It's brilliant. Yeah. If you offered any City fan, you said you'd be X amount of games in and you're 7 points clear with a chance to pull further clear, absolutely take that. You'd be delighted.
Yeah.
Unbeaten as well.
Unbeaten.
Absolutely, you would take that. The only team left in the country unbeaten, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Because the Premier Division has kind of gone up a bit all over the place. It looked like Shelbourne were coasting at one stage, and now it's caught back a bit. To be honest, I haven't even been looking at the Premier Division that much. Damien Duff was getting a bit of spotlight for the league, all right. I give him that. He's a bit controversial with some of the comments.
He is, yeah. His post-match interview yesterday is doing the rounds on social media today. But you know what? A character like that is good for the league, I think.
You'd imagine there, like, he spent a lot of time with Jose Mourinho back in the day, like with Chelsea, like.
It's rubbed off a bit.
It's rubbed off.
Yeah. And it's only natural as well.
You'd wonder, does he pick up the phone to him? You know, that kind of a way.
Yeah,
like,
interesting.
You know, does he, like, could he reach out to him and say, look, any tips here or any guy? Could I meet you for a coffee?
It's a funny old world if Jose Mourinho is having a bit of influence on the League of Ireland.
Shelbourne and Shamrock Rovers, man.
Yeah. But look, that's like when we had Malik in a couple of weeks ago and Neil Warnock was talking about watching Cork City and watching Malik.
Very surprised. Like, you know, who they're talking to, you know, so.
People always know people, especially in the football world. It's mad like that.
The women had a tough run at the weekend.
They did, yeah. I was back in the Cup, the All-Ireland Cup, and away to Shelbourne. I didn't catch much of that. I caught the end of it and I watched back the highlights to see the goals. But it all kind of happened very early on. I think it was a hat-trick within 25 minutes for Gemma Quinn from Shells, and it ended up finishing 3-0. So I was talking to Danny, the second half performance was much improved on the first. But Yeah, they'd be disappointed with that, I think.
Shells are a good side. Well, they have been over the years anyway. They kind of up and down a bit. Like,
they're always been like they're up and around the top end of the table and competing for leagues. And
their men's team might have been inconsistent over the last few years. Their women's team tended to be decent.
Exactly. They were for a long time. They were sort of the standard setters themselves in Peamount, and then obviously Shamrock Rovers came in last year and changed the game, as they were saying, and added themselves into the top 2, became a top 3 type thing. And but Shells are always thereabouts, and you'd imagine they'll be there as well this year. It'll be a bit different this year in the Women's League, actually, because Galway United have started very strongly, and to be honest, I don't see a way they don't win the league. Like, they've been ridiculous. Going back to, remember, they beat us 5-0 a couple of weeks ago, and obviously everyone was disappointed after that game, but you're looking back at it now thinking it's actually probably more of a reflection on Galway, that game, because they were just that good.
They look strong.
They've been battering everybody, like. So it's probably a bit more diversity in the top half of the table in the Women's League this year, but yeah, Shelburne have been thereabouts for the last 5-6 years anyway.
And hopefully they'll bounce back.
Yeah, I was looking at the table in the group there, so Shells and Wexford now are the top 2. Ourselves and Cliftonville are on 1 point each, and that's the final game of the group as well. We're playing Cliftonville at the Cross in May for that one, and never say never with the group, depending on how the other game goes. I'm not sure on if that competition goes to goal difference or head to head or what, but we could end up on 4 points, and second place could be a 4 point team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one goes.
It's a good look. It's a good learning experience, I suppose. I'd imagine for Danny, the league is the bread and butter. That's just a bonus if they do anything in that cup, you know.
Yeah, even from Danny's point of view and getting to see players who haven't played a lot this year. There was a couple of changes on Saturday for the starting 11 as well, so he got to look at players who kind of been on the fringes so far and haven't got many minutes, so he'll know now as well who he can bring in for the league game next weekend. And it's a good game from that point of view as well, in that he got to see more than just the 11 so far have kind of been thereabouts the same, so he gets to look at some other players as well, which is good.
What about the academy? How they get on?
Yeah, a good weekend again, I think, overall. On Saturday, the under-20s won 4-0 away to CK United. Ronan O'Shea scored, Harvey Skeeters got 2, and Conor Drynan scored as well. So a bit like Dara last week, he's getting minutes with the 20s. Great to see him back. Hopefully we see him back in the first team fold soon, just like Dara got back on against Longford at the weekend. The women's under-17s lost 2-0 away to Waterford, and the men's under-15s won 3-1 over CK United in Bishopstown. Jamie Nduba, Killian Murphy and David Dunn got the goals there. On Sunday, the women's 19s won 7-0 against Cove Ramblers in Bishopstown. Kaylee Still got 2, Zoe Finnerty got 2, Grace Flanagan, Shauna Sheehan and Kelsey Cooper got 1 each.
That was a big win, wasn't it?
Big win, yeah, local derby as well. The 17s, men's 17s won 3-1 against Kerry up in Mayfield. Jaden O'Donovan, Luke Hurley and Charlie Hanover got the goals there, and the 14s won 1-0 away to CK United. Tristan O'Driscoll with that goal.
So the lads, all wins there.
Yeah.
And there was only one defeat across the whole thing. So
one defeat across the thing. So overall, a pretty good weekend for the academy sides, yeah.
Yeah, and did I see as well last week you were up, I know, the virtual version of Cork City was playing?
Yeah, we were up in the ELOI finals were on, so we spoke about that a couple of weeks ago when we had Mr. Welly on. Briefly, he was talking about sort of what esports is and how it sort of works, the league and that. The top 8 teams, it was basically like a league play, group play for the first couple of weeks. The top 8 teams qualified for the final, which was on in the Camden in Dublin. Welly would have gone into it as one of the favourites. He went all the way to the final and he lost on penalties in the final. So he's absolutely brilliant. Like, he's represented us now in that for a couple of years.
He came second, so overall.
Second, yeah. UCD won it. JP Slater played for UCD.
Were we up against Premier Division teams as well?
Yeah, so every team in Ireland is in it. Like all 20 teams. And it's basically group play. You play each team whatever twice and the top 8 qualify. Then it becomes a knockout. So some of the quarterfinals were played, it was all streamed, like it was all streamed on the FAI's YouTube. Some of the quarterfinals were played off stream. So by the time I actually got there, some teams had already been knocked out. So I was texting Welly being like, what time are you? I didn't want to get there. And he would have already been knocked out, you know what I mean?
Turn the car, let's go on.
Exactly, yeah. So it's basically straight knockout, and it comes to a final and there's prize money up for grabs for the players and for the clubs, and a space in the E-Champions League next year. So UCD will actually be playing in the E-Champions League now with other clubs from across Europe next year, which is, it's a brilliant opportunity for those lads.
Not the E-Europa League or anything, no?
No, not yet.
Conference
anyway.
League?
E-Conference League, not yet. No. There was the EFAI Cup actually, where obviously these pro players were able to play, but anyone could sign up for it. It's almost like an open cup for all FIFA players in Ireland. And
I presume it's sponsored by EA Sports.
It's sponsored by Virgin Media, actually.
Was it sponsored by Virgin Media?
Virgin Media ELOI was the official name this year. But the EFAI Cup was an open one, and I actually signed up to it when I was just thinking now, I'll get one of the lads, a few of my friends signed up, so I was like, I'll get one of them now, I'll beat them, I'll get through a round or two. Mr. Welly in the first round. Of course I did. So your man is like this professional esports player. He was at his setup. There's a esports academy in Republic of Work. It's Wild's Academy. He was in there.
Usain Bolt is involved in it.
He is, yeah. He's part owner of Wild, yeah. And he, so Welly actually plays professionally for Wild. So he travelled down to Cork to play that EFAI Cup game against me at his professional setup while I'm sitting there with my dinner on the plate in front of me with my feet up playing. The difference.
You'll probably have a stream with a Cork City match behind it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably music blasting full volume. And the score of that game doesn't matter, but well, he went through. But he went all the way to the final anyway. He was very disappointed not to win it. But
so there's obviously like the big prize money in general in these things.
There is in Ireland. It's still a very new industry.
Yeah,
but in the US, and there's always esports events in Saudi Arabia as well, which is kind of random enough. But the prize money over there is ridiculous. Like you're talking millions, like tens of millions of dollars up for grabs. So I think the prize money at the ELOI, I think, was 1,500 for JP Sleater, who won it. I don't know how much the club get or what. I'm not 100% sure what Welly gets as runner-up. But Ireland is probably a couple of years behind on where the rest of the world is with it. But
it'll probably get bigger, like the younger generation coming up. Like there's probably older people listening to this now and saying, what
are these fellas talking about? Yeah,
the lads are playing it
there is actually a massive interest in it, and a lot of our younger supporters have been in touch with Welly and they're commenting on all his stuff, wishing him luck. And I've been at I think it's the fourth year, the third year of the ELOI now, and I've been at all of the live finals, and every year it gets bigger and better. Like last year it was in a conference room in the Aviva, which was brilliant. But this year it was in a venue where there were tickets and there was a big crowd.
A live gig venue in Dublin, is it?
Yeah, and they had like a big massive screen, so the lads were set up on the stage in front. There was the hosts in the corner with the sponsor backdrop, a big massive screen showing the stream, ELOI branding all around the venue. It looked incredible. And there was a good buzz in there. I think the Europa League was on that night as well. So like Liverpool were playing. The bar itself was open as well. But there was people coming down to watch the FIFA while the match was on. So it was brilliant. Cool, which is great, because there was a guy who came over and he was asking me sort of, what the hell is this? And explaining it to him. And he was like, geez, I play FIFA every night. I didn't even know this was a thing. And he abandoned his buddies that were watching the match and sat over with us watching that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. But it's something that in Ireland is probably a couple of years behind the rest of the world. It's not for everyone, obviously. It's a different... I understand people are kind of like, sure, that's just a fella sitting in his room playing his PlayStation. It's a bit unconventional.
Have we ever hosted one for the fans ourselves?
We haven't, no.
Might be something, I mean, in the future.
We could have the Cork City Cup or something, yeah. We could do. Winner gets
Cup or something.
Winner gets to play Mr. Welly in the final, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, take him on. And you could put it up, I don't know, put it in some venue or something. Like, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
100%, yeah. We have it in the Pav or something in town, yeah. Big screen in there, that'll do. But it could be something to look at. I'll talk to Welly and see. We can see when he's down and we can do something.
Maybe for the younger supporters, something for them to get involved in as well.
100%, yeah. It's a different...
Thinking all the teenagers that probably... This is where they make the money, because they'll watch the live streams on Twitch and YouTube and stuff.
Like people watch Welly streams his games and people watch that. There's coaches in the esports world. Like Welly had his buddy fly over from England who literally coaches him through his games. They film every game, they watch back, and a bit like real traditional footballers watching back their games to analyse their performance. Like they watch back all their games and figure out what they did wrong and what they could do better in this scenario. It's completely different world.
It's some different world.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I'm showing my age, but I remember playing the first FIFA. Like I had it on the Sega Mega Drive.
2D fellas running in a straight line. Yeah,
and I remember football before that as well. And I'm sure those people listening probably do as well. Like, and there were like little dots running around the pitch. Like
a little yellow circle around the feet, wasn't it?
On the short nose, putting on like some sort of sensors and kicking the ball around the room or something.
Yeah, it's mad. The whole esports world is a bit mad. FIFA is probably, it wouldn't be the biggest one. There's other games like Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Valorant, stuff like that, where there's sold out arenas in America and stuff. Like Brazil, I think there was, I don't know what game it was. I saw a video recently, literally like a place the size of like bigger than the 3 arenas sold out. Crazy, yeah. But still a new industry in Ireland, very new.
And FIFA by far is the biggest game. Well, I know it's EAFC now, but it's by far probably the biggest game over here now, I think.
Oh yeah, it's probably the most widely played game in Europe anyway, you'd imagine, because the amount of football
and the
fans that are
crossover
here.
with football, you know.
Exactly, yeah. It ties in nicely with a football club. Like, if it was a football club now and you're sending a fella out to play Fortnite for you or something, there's no correlation there, But
you know, the one thing that it does as well, and is the knowledge it gives the younger crowd as well playing. They did, like, the amount of players that they know and the teams across Europe, and like, I see it my own son, like, and he's 13, like, but like, he'd know all the different names and like,
yeah, it's crazy.
mad.
Like, I've seen of people who are coming to the Cross for their first Cork City game, and they'll already know a good chunk of the players because they would have played as Cork City on FIFA or done a career mode of Cork City. It's brilliant, yeah. It's
kind of like educational.
It's we're talking about how brilliant that is now. We're actually not going to be in the game next year because we've been relegated.
We were in the last one though.
We are, yeah. So the current one, the FIFA cycle is kind of
every September.
So, obviously we were relegated in October, November. So we still nearly got a year out of it. But that could mean we get promoted this October, but we're not back in it until next September, which is a bit of a nightmare.
That is a bit of a nightmare. Right.
And the jerseys don't get to be in it. So it'll be next year's jerseys that are in it. But yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's your lovely designs.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
I see somebody actually wearing them over the weekend as well.
So nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
They look so good on the pitch.
That was another thing actually. I was in the club shop on Sunday. So I was walking through Douglas Village. Is it me or is there a lot more kind of zip tops, hoodies available now? There's a great range.
Yeah. Do you know what? That was kind of a conscious thing from us over the last couple of years. We've always had that sort of stuff available, like a quarter zip, a jacket, whatever. Whereas now we have a lot more than just the one or two choices. Like, we try to have a whole range of colour options, all this. And there's actually a few new bits in the shop this week on that topic. We got the away jerseys, the kids' away jerseys are all back in stock. We had people coming in for weeks and weeks and weeks while we were waiting for more to arrive, and now they're back. So if you've been waiting for one, get down or get onto the online shop and you can get one there. We actually have
people in there picking up gifts actually for people, and like, you'd see people, like, I'd say they're not regulars at the Cross, but they're still wanting to buy merchandise.
You'd be surprised, yeah. Like, I've done my fair share of shifts in the club shop as well, and there's people who come in who, like, they may never have been to a Cork City game, but they come in and something might catch their eye. They'll ask a question like, are they at home this Friday? I might go along and have a look. And I know for a fact there are people who've got into the Cross and got into Cork City from that, which is brilliant. But, like, I suppose that's one of the things, if you want to be eye-catching like that for someone just walking past the shop, you have to have the nice merchandise, which I think we do. Not just the jerseys and stuff, but there's a whole range of the Adidas jackets, the non-branded jackets, which are a bit cheaper. We've got a whole new range of hats in this week. So there's bucket hats in a couple of different colours.
Popular with the summer now, with the weather we've had in the last few days. But
exactly, yeah. And I think there's 5 or 6 different colours. We've got everything from typical black and white to pink and navy and stuff. Yeah. So there's a choice for everyone. Same with the baseball caps. And we've got like a bright pink baseball cap, which looks savage actually with the blue and pink away jersey. So there's a savage combination there. But yeah, it's one of those things, the merchandise offering the last couple of years, I don't think anyone or will ever be 100% happy with it, because you'll always want to improve it. And it's something that we all kind of, everyone at the club is involved in terms of picking things or saying, no, that'll be no good for us, or we should try and get something like this. A lot of the time it just comes down to something can't be got, or the price of something might just be extortionate. But compared to where we were 5 or 6 years ago, it's come on leaps and bounds, and the club shop itself I think is great as well. That's obviously no slight on the previous ones as well. It's just I think we're in a position now to be able to get more stock in.
But we're not a million miles off some clubs in Europe. I'm not talking the biggest, well, some of them the biggest ones, but like I've been to shops and I've been disappointed at the offering that they had. Like I went to the San Siro and I really expected Milan, the two Milans actually, to have a better selection, and they didn't. You know, whereas Atalanta and Bergamo had a much better shop on the main street down the road.
You know what? I'm a bit like yourself there now. Every stadium I go to, even going back to Vicarage Road at the weekend, straight to the club shop.
Have a look.
Not only to compare the shops, but just to like, oh Jesus, that kind of top is nice, that kind of hat, stuff like that. So I spent about half an hour in the Watford club shop the other day taking pictures of everything.
Like a busman's holiday, you're kind of sizing up there. I used to do that for years. Like when I was in Fota, like I used to be going to other parks and stuff and seeing, is there anything here now that we could even take inspiration from? It's
when I was at Watford there the other day, even just the posters, the branding around the stadium. I spotted the guy handing out the team sheets. I thought, right, he's media. I was kind of watching what he was doing. I was kind of see what the other clubs are doing. You have to do that.
That's how you met Corky's cousin as well.
Yeah, whatever his name was, Harry the Hornet. It's very funny. Corky's quiet. You know, he doesn't talk much. Man, Harry the Hornet was running around screaming at everyone, dancing. I was like, maybe Corky needs to get a bit more excited on a Friday night.
You might need to send Corky off for lessons.
Your man was dancing on the concourse and everything, and like taking people's food, and like he was a bit off his game, but it was funny. But yeah, I got a picture with, what was his name? Harry the Hornet, I think. Yeah,
Harry the Hornet. Yeah. So they had a good shop.
They did a good shop, to be fair. Very cheap stuff. I don't know how they were selling their jerseys for, like, now obviously it's the end of the season as well.
They're all selling them cheap.
They were selling jerseys for like £15, £20. Don't know how that's working, but fair play.
Yeah, but does it get to the stage with some of them big clubs because they have big deals done with whoever their sponsors are or whatever?
Possibly, yeah.
They're literally selling them below cost even.
Could be, yeah. It's, you know yourself, like
just to shift them.
Premier League clubs, I know Watford are Championship, but they're kind of in that Premier League bracket.
They're probably still getting the payments.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But obviously League of Ireland clubs and the deals we can strike with manufacturers and stuff are a bit, they're not in the same stratosphere as that. But
yeah, but there's very few League of Ireland clubs I'd say would have the offering that we'd have. Maybe Rovers.
There's a few, yeah. I don't get to see many of the League of Ireland club shops and stuff because when I'm around their stadiums, I'm there for a Cork City match and we've our own stuff going on.
Do any of them have a shop like in a shopping centre like we have? I can't remember ever seeing one anyway. Like I'm up in Dublin a lot, but I don't ever remember seeing one.
Yeah, I don't.
Like in Livy Valley or Blanchardstown or any of those places.
I know Galway United had one in the city centre, but I think that was only a pop-up shop. Drogheda are in my head. I don't know, did they have one in a shopping centre? Because I think they were sponsored by a shopping centre, so it could have been a temporary thing. I don't know.
And the fact that like we're there and then the odd time we do a pop-up shop in the marina as well. Like,
yeah, we used to do pop-up shops elsewhere. I remember we were in Mahon for a while. We did a stand in Blackpool once. So we can be in a couple of places any one time, which
we
is
even had a shop in town before. We had a
few locations in town, yeah.
In Dawn Square, like that's where when I was working in the club, we had offices above it, like, but it was cool, like, to be right in the heart of the city centre.
I remember we had one, and this is going back years and years. Probably, I don't know, was it before the Dawn Square one or after the Dawn Square one? But before Opera Lane was Opera Lane. Weren't we there kind of like where Tommy Hilfiger is, or am I completely imagining that? I think we were on Patrick Street somewhere.
I think at the time, O'Callaghan Properties had bought up a load of land and they were giving out things for a while.
Was it?
I think, like this.
Again, I was probably 8 or 9 at this stage, so my memory could be a bit twisted on it, but
and for a long time they used to be out of poor old Noel Feeney's house.
Was it?
Yeah, Noel, you go to Ballyhan and you'd call to Noel's house, like, and she'd have some sort of merchandise,
hats and scarves and pins or something.
I remember before the cup final in 98, and I'd say that was the only place you'd be able to get something like a scarf or something like that. And then after a while, then they started selling jerseys. Like, they were selling jerseys anyway, but it was usually like someone like Common Sports or somewhere, or something
in a
like
shop as opposed to having your own shop. Like,
they might have a little section. Or Football Crazy would have had them back in the day.
I remember Football Crazy as well.
You know, so Tony Hennessy, you call into Tony, and they might have them. But they'd, you know, poor old Noel, she was great for stuff like that. She'd have the bits and bobs that you'd have now in small sections in the shop. Maybe not the jerseys, but the scarves, the cups, that
the pins, all the small sort of bits like that.
Those type of things, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But I suppose if you look back to like what you're saying there, with you'd kind of have to go to all these different places for different bits of merchandise. What we have now and the setup we have now is brilliant. Especially, as you said, in League of Ireland terms.
For League of Ireland terms, where was I? I was in Bordeaux's shop last year. I was over in Bordeaux, and I felt it wasn't too far different now to what we have, like, you know. Now, they had 2 floors of it, I think. I know it was cool. They had Zidane on the wall or something.
Class.
Like, he did play for them at some stage, but kind of made me think, like, oh yeah, are we celebrating some of our past players to the same? You know, maybe we should kind of focus on, you know, because that seems to be a theme of the smaller clubs. It doesn't matter if they went on and played for Real Madrid or whoever, we'll throw them up the wall.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. They had
familiarity. Someone can come in and say, oh, geez, that's Zidane. He was here, yeah.
You know, I thought that was kind of cool. And actually, when I was in New York, I see PSG have a shop on on Fifth Avenue. No, that told me.
In New York?
On Fifth Avenue, like the biggest shopping street in the world, and there's a PSG shop. So
that's mad.
Money talks, I suppose.
That is mad.
So
New York is random enough for them to have a shop. That's like us putting a club shop in Dublin or something.
Yeah, but if you think back,
imagine we did that.
I suppose Liverpool had a shop in Mahon Point there for a while, and Manchester United did have 2 shops at one stage in Patrick Street in the late 90s. So I'd say it's just a strategy from PSG to grow their global audience, I'd imagine, at the moment.
I'll ask Aina and Dermot if we've room in the budget to open a club shop in Dublin or London or something.
We should open up one as like Santa Panza or somewhere like that.
Not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, Lanzarote or something.
Just for the summer. Lanzarote in the winter and then move it to
we'll have all the
Malaga or somewhere in the summer.
You'll end up with knockoff Cork City jerseys being sold in the stalls and stuff then. People will see them like, that's nice.
So we've definitely gone way off topic, but we're okay because we did have a guest lined up, but unfortunately due to work commitments, we couldn't do it at the last minute. So
yeah, it was John O'Flynn. We'll hopefully have him in next week. We're trying to tie him down, but we'll
wait for Flinny. I mean, he's an all-time legend at the club, like, so we'll definitely wait.
Another one of 100%. Like, we'll do that when he wants to. He's one of another of the names, a bit like Greg Bulger. All the requests that were coming in were John O'Flynn, Greg Bulger, like those kind of players. So we'll get John O'Flynn in. We've a couple of other guests.
Superstar, like going back to John. Like John had I remember John picking me up in the car one day, and he was after getting a brand new Audi A5, and the reg was 99999 or something like
class.
Like he was a star, like, you know. I remember him pulling
that's
up.
Proper baller now, isn't it?
We were doing an awards night in Youghal United, and I got John to come down to give out the gifts or whatever, to give out the awards to the players. And the next thing anyway, they're all waiting for him. John turns up a bit late. John pulls up in the car, the Audi with the 999 plate, brand new, okay. Out he steps, and then his girlfriend, I now think is his wife, Aisling, she was Miss Cork at the time, so it was like Posh and Becks, like,
yeah,
you know,
Cork's
like,
very own Posh and Becks, like, yeah,
superstars. They were all
brilliant.
Wow, you know, and John
Brilliant.
always tanned and everything, like looking the biz with the dyed blonde hair probably at the time and stuff. Yeah, so we always had a bit of stardom with John when he was in the club, but he was our famous number 9, I suppose. He was
God, it was off the shed to call him for years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully get Finney in next week. And we'll have Dan Murray coming in soon. Derek Collins going to be coming in soon. So we've got a couple of guests lined up for the next few weeks. But for today, you're stuck with myself and Stephen.
Yeah, you're stuck. So like, you know, since we're going on all the jerseys and stuff, how did you get into the club? I might as well interview you since you're sitting here.
As I'm here.
How did it start? Because the first time I came across you, I was involved in Red FM and you were kind of in the club, but I don't know, I think you were part-time or something.
Yeah, so I first came in 2019 at the start. It was about a week after Paul Deasy got the job. He came in as commercial manager at the time.
That's right.
And I think Dec Carey had been doing all of the graphics and the social media and stuff for years, and he had just become chairman. So
Dec got busy, like.
He got on to me and he was basically like, I don't have time to be doing this. Do you want to get involved and we can get you on board? So
you're obviously an avid supporter of the club. Like.
Yeah, so like up to that point, I was a Cork City fan. Obviously, I was at the Cross every week. I was doing graphics and social media and stuff for just kind of freelance stuff, like for.
So had you gone to college or what did you do?
No, I wanted to go to CIT to do multimedia because it would have been that kind of world, and a few other bits mixed in as well, and ended up missing that. So I didn't do it. I was just kind of doing freelance stuff, but it's the kind of world where. Did you pick it up so as you kind of?
I've been doing it and stuff.
I'd say I remember downloading copies of Photoshop when I would say 10, like when I was in primary school, like, and self-teaching and YouTube videos and stuff like that. I remember I used to make profile pictures for like all these YouTubers and stuff like that. So that's how it all started off. And then I just kind of started doing stuff for bars, restaurants in Cork, stuff, anyone who needed, like menu stuff now or social media stuff when that started kicking off. And I started doing stuff in a football sense for, there's Irish Football Fan TV. They have the YouTube channel, Instagram and stuff.
Wasn't that Darren? Was Darren involved in that?
Paul Nealon is the one who
started it.
Yeah, he runs it all. So I'm doing stuff for him. To be honest, the whole football side of it, it never crossed my mind that I'll work in the football side of things. Till Dec Carey got onto me with that, I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I'm a Cork City fan. That'll be fun. Got involved there on a part-time basis. Just originally was to do stuff for the programs now, or, you know, the half-time, the full-time stuff. And yeah, since then, kind of ended up more work being put on my plate, and then
bit by bit, more things.
Exactly. And here I am. What is it? 5-6 seasons later.
Yeah,
still
but
here.
In that time, so like you must have launched a TikTok channel and stuff like that as well. And did you like without
the club TikTok? Yeah. So we launched that. TikTok was very new, for example. Now I think the first ever thing we did,
really, like, yeah,
the first ever thing we did on TikTok just to trial it, because no one kind of knew what worked or didn't work on TikTok for a brand, was when Joseph Alou signed on loan from Arsenal. And I remember we put stuff up, and this was when TikTok would have very much been like seen as a kids app, for example. And we put up this thing that we were going to exclusively announce a signing on TikTok at 5 p.m, whatever it was. Remember everyone was like, what the hell are you on TikTok for? Like, that's a child's platform. But we launched that signing, got a bit of reaction. Again, it was kind of an era where no one kind of knew what to do with TikTok. And didn't do much on TikTok after that, really. Like, we posted all...
like, when you did that time, did you make a video of him playing youth level or something for Arsenal?
No, see, it was... We did it kind of like... It was a picture of him in his Arsenal jersey, and then it kind of...
Transition-y
glitch effect to him in his Cork City jersey. Because again, at the time, like, there was no formula for TikTok for what worked or what didn't work. We got a couple of followers off the back of that. We were sitting at maybe 3,000 or 4,000 followers on TikTok for a while. No one really knew what to do with TikTok. So everyone just kind of, everyone had a presence on it. No one did much. After that, when it became clear that the winning formula for TikTok, like the secret sauce, was funny videos that no one would ever take seriously, I started doing a bit of that. The followers grew a bit. So the thing with that stuff is, I think we got to 30, 40,000, which was up there with our most followers on any platform at the time.
But then very fast, a very short space of time. Like, to go
it exploded very quickly there, but then it kind of stopped because we stopped posting. It was around the same time as we were in the first division at the time, I think 21, and we weren't doing well. And the Cork City fan in me is kind of thinking at the time, and a bit last year as well, these are all funny, happy-go-lucky videos. It's not the right time. So we probably could have grown a lot more on that. We didn't. We kind of stagnated and just kind of abandoned the TikTok for a while. Then I actually have a guy now, Dara, who's a volunteer who helps with TikTok videos and stuff like that. Between the two of us, we had videos there the last couple of years where I think in 30 days we went from 40,000 followers to 100,000 followers. So,
and how was that?
A couple of funny videos just taking the mick out of...
It's actually quite hard to get followers. It's actually easy enough to get the views nowadays.
Yeah, it's so easy to get
because
views.
There's so much content being watched.
Yeah.
And not everyone makes content, if you know what I mean.
Thing.
So that's where brands like City, and I know people say, it's a football club. Yeah, but also you have to think from a brand perspective when you're trying to get out to a bigger audience. It's like, the more content that you make, the better you do.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what... So like we had that mini explosion on TikTok, got to like 100,000. Then we went up to 140,000. We're down at about 134,000 now. But again, it kind of stagnated last year because, again, look, there was a couple of results last year. I remember like a 5-0 away to Bows or stuff like that. You just can't be posting the funny piss take stuff after that. There's a right and a wrong time. An example that I'm looking at now, if you look at Shamrock Rovers, as much as it kills me to say it, like they're unreal on TikTok, but they've won 4 leagues in a row. They can post what they want on TikTok. There's no sort of consequences. They're over 300,000 on TikTok, which
it's crazy.
League of Ireland numbers is incredible. To be fair, ourselves 130,000 on TikTok in a League of Ireland sense. That's incredible.
I think it was Nathan mentioned that. He didn't mention just TikTok. He just kind of said when he looked up Cork City, he saw the numbers.
Yeah.
Then he realised, whoa, hold on a second. This club isn't that small at all.
Exactly, yeah. On social media, if you looked up until this year, we actually had more followers on Twitter and Facebook than the League of Ireland. Like, we had more followers in the league that we play in, which is brilliant. But they've, because of the big explosion in the League of Ireland this year, they've overtaken us now. They're a couple of thousand ahead of us. But But like for Nathan's point of view, looking at us on, like, I'd imagine the first place he found us would have been Twitter. 55,000 followers, something on Twitter. Like those are good numbers.
Big
Not just in League of Ireland numbers, but for the level he was at in England, even some League 2 clubs, those are good numbers. League 1 clubs even. So yeah, like the whole TikTok thing, I say it all the time, I'm fully confident, like if we just focus on TikTok and just did a load of TikTok content, funny content, like 1 million followers is actually achievable, I think. But again, last year it had to kind of stop because of the way I'm looking at it from my point of view is we can't be getting relegated and then posting memes on TikTok. It's not appropriate, and it's just one of those things.
There's some clubs out there, all right, sometimes you wonder about them and you'd say, lads, do you see what's happening on the pitch? You're posting stuff there that's silly. Like,
yeah, you'd see some stuff, especially like Premier League clubs or big clubs, where they've outsourced it to an agency and the fella who's posting it has no direct link to what just happened on the pitch 2 hours ago type thing.
Yeah, it's like anything, kind of go quiet for a while.
Sometimes you have to.
You know, and it's not that you're trying to bury something, it's just that you don't feel it's appropriate.
Exactly, like there's your whole thing as a football club is your fan base, and there are times where it's better for you to not say anything because you're going to annoy your fan base or antagonize your fan base, and that's just how it is. Like, as much as I could have a great idea for a video or a picture or whatever, you just don't do it. Like, there's a time and a place. But yeah, TikTok, I think, to be honest, I want to dedicate a lot more time to TikTok this year because the potential of it is there, especially now. I look a lot at the women's league. Like, there's not much women's football content in the League of Ireland on TikTok. I was watching Liverpool women's TikTok yesterday, Arsenal women. There's a big audience for that there as well.
So you do a lot of research, like watching clubs abroad.
Yeah, do you know what? Just in terms of the whole content creation thing, I'd be very much sort of like a child of the internet, where I'm looking at a lot of my entertainment is YouTube based, TikTok based. So I'm always looking around at what can we adapt to do ourselves, or what shouldn't we be doing, which is also more important.
Maybe not like Forest at the weekend. We might stay away from what they did.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, that Forest tweet was a bit
much.
There's dividing opinion, and then there's that. That was a bit much. But yeah, a lot of the time I suppose it's kind of research around the place, but it's not at the same time, because you're just kind of taking in the content anyway. But you get, yourself, you get inspiration from the most random places.
Even other sports, sometimes you get it too.
100%, yeah.
But like there last week, I thought it was very clever. I think you put out the numbers for the away jersey, and you were asking people
the custom wallpapers.
Yeah, so like that obviously takes a bit of time to do. Then I suppose as well, put their names in.
Yeah, that's. I saw Borussia Dortmund do it a couple of years ago.
Okay,
and I was like, oh geez, that's a great idea. And I did it once. I remember the first couple of times we did it, we didn't have many. If you do it for an hour, you might get 20, 30 people responding, which is grand. You have to do it manually or whatever, especially if it's just me doing it. And it's fine. The more we did it, the more people want to do it. So every once in a while I'll do it, but I literally have to do it. I turn off all phone notifications. I'm like, I need to sit here for an hour and just churn out, because there's, for every one wallpaper you do, you might have 5 or 6 replies come in. So it's a lot of work in it, but stuff like that's great for engagement, because you get people replying, like the amount of followers we'll pick up when we're doing that, because there's fellas who are like, oh geez, this football club now that are tweeting my name or are tweeting my kid's name or whatever it is. Just kind of, it's easy content. It's not a whole lot of work. It's, yes, you're busy for an hour or two while you're doing it, but it's sort of like the easy payoff stuff where you don't have to put a whole lot of work in, but you get followers and you get people who stick around. Because there's a lot of people, I recognize names from reading the tweets of someone might have tweeted with a query, or someone might have followed or got involved in some sort of debate that, a year down the line, you still see them and you're like, oh, that fella's still here, obviously. So it's just ways like that of getting supporters who maybe aren't supporters yet, but getting new people involved. Something on TikTok as well. There's a lot of people who, I think we did a jersey giveaway on TikTok before. There's big interest in that and stuff like that, where people aren't necessarily Cork City fans yet. There's a chance they'll get a free jersey and they kind of buy into the whole thing. And it's little things like that, which isn't a whole lot of work from my point of view or the club's point of view, but it gets new people on board. They might never come to the cross. They might make it their goal to come to the cross. It's a bit like...
Have you seen someone, for example, that followed us on social overseas, and then they might eventually come here on a weekend or something like that?
You'd be surprised how many times that happens in a season. There's pictures who come in. There's people will tweet pictures of them watching on LOI TV, and then all of a sudden they're at the cross. Or we had like a spell in 2022 where there was like a lot of football YouTubers would come over and do like a match day video on Cork City, and then other football YouTubers in England would see that and also come over.
Did you invite one of them or something?
No, do you know what? Funnily enough, there's a YouTuber, Smiv. He sort of kicked off a couple of years ago. He had his own Sunday League club in England, and he'd film every game, and it became nearly like Steve Dorking do it now with Mark White, and they kind of have the weekly videos. It was a bit like that in the early days, where he'd kind of document his club's journey, and then he started going to his On the Road series where he'd go to clubs around the world and rate their matchday experience.
Okay.
And then one day he just put out a tweet, does anyone have any media contacts at Cork City FC? I've been watching this guy for years. So I replied, I was like, yeah, me. So he came along to the cross, did a video on the cross, and it was brilliant.
Did you meet him beforehand and stuff?
I met him at the match, and lovely fella. He's still tweeting Howey out to this day. He actually replied to that Jersey tweet last week requesting Howey out on his jersey. But he came along, did a brilliant video on us. At the time he has like a table of all the clubs he's visited. We were second, I think, just under, I don't know, were we just above Barcelona or just under Barcelona's match day experience? He has since gone to Shamrock Rovers, but he went for, I think he came to us against Athlone. It would have been a 4-0 or 4-1 win. Not a massive crowd or anything. It still got a really good rating. He went then to a Dublin derby, I think, which I think was the highest rating he ever gave a match. But I'm like, if he had come to a bigger game with us, confident we would have been top of that table. But after he did it, then we had two lads from, one of them was a host on Soccer AM, Curly. He set off with his own location football YouTube channel. He came over and they did a video on the Stoke game, the Stoke friendly 2 years ago, I think it was. And after that, then there was another guy, I can't remember his name. There was 3 or 4 in the space of a couple of months that came over and did brilliant bits of content on the club, which was brilliant. That was when we were in the first division in 2022. And with that sort of stuff, like Blair McNally has done a few videos as well, Scottish guy. And whenever they're on to us, I'm like look, 100%, that's great content for you, but it's great content for us as well. You can have pitch side, you can film behind the goal. Obviously there's rules and do's and don'ts, but I think we as a club are very open to that kind of thing. So on the off chance there is other people looking at this that want to do a bit of a feature on the club, get in touch with us and we'll talk to you. But yeah, stuff like that obviously helps us as well in terms of it could sell the match day to another person. It could just get a bit of interest or eyeballs on the club anyway, which...
But as we said, like you just mentioned there that you were at 2 matches in London at the weekend. There is football tourists as well.
Yeah.
That love going to matches.
One thing we get a lot actually is pin collectors and program collectors and stuff like that. So there are even people like that who may not ever necessarily come to the cross, but they want their Cork City memorabilia and they know Cork City, which is brilliant.
I see a lot of guys there recently. Can't remember what game it was. I think they were all from Holland. I think they might have come in from Amsterdam.
There's nearly every game there's a group like that.
A stag party or something. But
I saw something about that, yeah.
10 or 15 of them.
There's always something like that, and sometimes they might contact the club and say, look, we're doing this, or can we do this? Other times there might just be a group of 20 lads who just buy 20 tickets and go sit up the back of the St. Anne's or something like that. But yeah, it's obviously like there isn't a real easy way to track that and directly correlate it to, this TikTok video convinced this person. But it's more sort of just a wider brand recognition, I think.
It's the sum of all parts. And I suppose like there's so many different platforms. Tell me, like in a week, like are you planning content in the lead up to a match? Like how does it work? There's kind of, there's a wider content plan. It might be a week plan, it might be a 2-week plan. It could be a lot of the stuff, again, with football is you could have a great TikTok idea, for example, but it's nearly result dependent. As I was saying before, like kind of you should post it, you shouldn't post it. It's just kind of like, I suppose the week to week basis, there's the usual stuff, especially when it's a home match week. You know, your content is becoming, everything you're doing is to sell and to get people to come to the cross on a Friday night. But yeah, it's one of those interesting ones, like in the football world, you can do all the content and the marketing you want, but a lot of the time it does come back to just, it's football. If you're winning, people come to the match. So you could have the best marketing team in the world. You can spend as much money as you want on your Facebook ads or your Twitter ads, but if the football is good, that's more valuable than any advert you can pay for, or any placement you can get. Easy for Rovers to sell out the Tala, like when they're top. They're winning 4 leagues in a row, yeah. Potentially win a 5th one, like the way things are going, like, and the momentum is in their favour. Yeah. and a new stand up there and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a tricky one. But I mean, the indications are like, the biggest crowd we had was the first game of the season.
Kerry, yeah.
And that would show that there was a build-up of marketing over the winter months and there was an appetite there.
There was. Do you know what? I think it's the longest off-season in world football, League of Ireland, I'm pretty sure. So there is always that.
It is very long. Yeah.
There's always like that, the waiting period of when do we get back? And then when the fixtures come out, then all of a sudden you have your end date and your countdown is on, especially if it's a home game. So you're nearly always guaranteed a big crowd for the first game. A bit like last year, we had Bows' first game on TV. I think we had 6,500 at it. But yeah, it's especially those games where there's a long break. You think now as well, because we've been away from the cross for so long, that when we do eventually get back, there'll be a big crowd simply because there's been
a lot
that
of hype about it as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like everything. And I'd imagine, like, are you dealing with the journalists during the week, or is that somewhere else in the club? Is that Ian?
Yeah, the media requests come through me. And when they're like, so we're sending out the media application form and stuff. So I'll send out the form. Aina sort of collates all the responses and gives people where you are in the press box and stuff like that. So it's kind of a joint effort there. It's one of those things, not just like Cork City, but League of Ireland thing. Everyone kind of chips in everywhere. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd be the kind of point of contact between the media and the players. Though. It has, yeah. Like I originally came in, as I said, to do stuff
as a part-time
with
bit of content creation, graphics, posters, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, that was it.
It's evolved.
Now it's kind of, it encompasses a lot from all of that to the merchandise and stuff like that. We all kind of, it's hard to sort of pinpoint that's exclusively your job or something, because everyone kind of has to help out in everywhere. But that's just sort of the fluidity of the League of Ireland and everyone's role in the League of Ireland. Like there's times in pre-season where I could be helping Mick badge up jerseys for the players on a Friday night, do you know what I mean? Or Owen with the women's team or whatever it may be.
And obviously you're updating people with the scores and stuff on match.
During the match, yeah.
One of the questions that people often have around that as well, like, do you know, the matches on, how do Google and all them get the updates?
So there's a guy, there's a guy, well, the Google ones actually, I presume they pull from the same data feed. So there's like a sports data company that come, and your man basically has like a phone or an iPad with Cork City have the ball, Cork City score, UCD have the ball, UCD score, whatever it is.
Everyone.
I think it's kind of like a central statistics feed that he sends that you'll have, like Google would pull from, Live Score would pull from, Flash Score, the betting companies, whatever it is. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% certain, but every game you'd have, there'd always be 2 or 3 like data companies would send someone to cover the game like that.
Are they sitting in the press box?
They can, because they request press box, or they have to request media accreditation. But I think a lot of them would just kind of be sitting in the stand. It's just a phone. Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily need a desk space. If they wanted it, I think they can request it and there's no problem, they'll get it. But a lot of them, as I said, it's just a case of they just need to watch the match. They could go with their buddies, like they just need to watch the match and press
probably
a couple of buttons on the phone.
Probably a part-time job for people or something like that, is it?
Yeah, I don't know, because there's a couple of them, I could be chatting to them on a Friday night at our games. I could be at a women's game in Dublin on the Saturday and the same guy is up there. So there's a lot of travel for them as well, because they obviously cover it much more than the one game in a weekend. But yeah, that's how it works. And that's, as far as I know, that's probably where Google and all these things pull their...
Yeah, because
you'd imagine like with Live Score, Google just pulled from that or something like that.
It has to be somewhere like that, yeah. That I was thinking it might be from the club officially that you have to tap into some...
No, we do have to do now this year and last year, actually. It came in last year. FAI Connect and the updates on that, that's all has to be done by the club. So like...
Yeah.
You have to start the clock and you have to end the clock and do your subs. You have to input all your subs and input your goal scorers and stuff like that. So that is on the clubs, but that's exclusively for the FAI Connect app. That's not for like Live Score and stuff. They have their own people that do that.
And can the general public look at that?
Yeah. So FAI Connect is basically Live Score for Irish football. So like every match is on that, from your AUL games to your...
Someone's even documenting them as well.
I think the clubs themselves have to do that, because that's
final score or something.
Yeah, probably the different levels have different requirements, but like we have to do everything from subs to assists for goals and all that sort of thing. But that's new last year. There's data, like every player who's registered in Ireland is available on it. So say Aaron Howey played for whatever local club, you could look up me, click in and see your appearance stats and goal stuff. So every player in Ireland is available on that. But that's a requirement on the club this year. But yeah, all the other stuff is done externally.
So do you have to get to know the players then as well? Like, I mean, do you get time to do kind of funny TikToks or reels or Q&As or anything like that, like small, snappy things?
Yeah, we do. We've done stuff like that. Again, it just comes down to a lot of the time it's time, because the players train at certain times. We've all have other stuff that needs to be done. So it's kind of, we do stuff when we can with the players. But to be honest, all the players we have and all the players we've always had, really, as long as I've been here, have all been really open to that. And they're really good at it as well, which is important, because the last thing you want is a guy who you're doing a video and a guy just doesn't want to be there. And he just like the girls as well. The girls are brilliant for it. But the last thing you'd want is someone who's just like, I'm here because I have to be here. But they're all brilliant, to be fair. Whenever we ask them to do anything, be it one-on-one interviews or press conferences or podcast appearances, whatever it is, they're all like, there's no one I could say he's difficult or she's difficult. Everyone is absolutely brilliant, which makes my job a lot easier when I have to ask them for interviews. I don't have to go back to journalists and say, no, this fella doesn't want to do it, or have to come up with an excuse for why this fella doesn't want to do it. But no, they're all brilliant, to be fair.
And what about your relationship with the fans? And I know we joke about the Howey out and all this type of stuff, but like, do you get messages from a lot of them? Do you get requests for things or?
To be fair, yeah, the Howey out thing is, I'd like to think it's mostly a joke anyway.
It's messing.
It all came from when I was in the shed, like before I worked here. When I kind of went on the inside, then the lads would be shouting down, oh, Howey out. And then it became, you know, the way the shed is, there'd be people around them. You hear someone shouting something, you join in. Yeah. And it kind of spiraled from there. But in terms of general relationship, yeah, like we were talking about it before, like the TikTok lives now on a Thursday night, or just the TikTok videos in general of like the match day in the life or whatever. They get good interaction from our own fans and from fans of other clubs. So, and
do you get much abuse?
You get abuse from
other fans,
from other clubs. Like there was one funny one. I always talk about this. The Waterford game 2 years ago, we played. I think Waterford equalised in the 90th minute or something. And the media area for the away team in the RSC, if you think of the shed, if the shed had like a media area behind it, that's where for some reason the away team media goes. So I'm right behind all the Waterford flags and drums and all the loud fans. And we were there. I think it was me, Paul O'Donovan, who's the video analyst, and Leon, who was the S&C guy at the time. We were up there and we got a penalty in like the 94th minute. So as you can imagine, we're going ballistic behind there.
Yeah.
And Rory Keating was taking the penalty. And we were pushing for promotion at the time. I think that set up, we could have won the league the next week. Now we didn't. I think that the next week was away to Galway, but that set up, basically we only needed 3 points to win the league. So we were, as you imagine, celebrating like mad, and we were getting dogs abuse up the back. And I remember someone was saying to us like, oh, you'd want to watch yourselves when you're back here. And we were like, we're getting promoted, we won't be back here. Now, as it turned out, that kind of backfired in the end, is how the playoff went.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a bit of stick there. There's a couple of games you get like, but that's not me getting stick because they know who I am. That's because
you're just a City fan.
You could be anyone in a Cork City top and you're getting stick.
You, like,
especially if you get the odd one or two to message it, but that's kind of
nothing really bad.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I just laugh. Do you know what I mean? I just find it hilarious.
A lot of them are probably kids and stuff.
Probably it's like half it's banter. I'd say I just find it funny. But you could be anywhere in a way, especially because when I'm at any ground, I obviously have my City gear on, but I'm in the home end and I have to walk through the home end to get to the media or whatever. So like straight away, you nearly have a target on your back, whether they know who you are or they don't know who you are. But yeah, it's funny. There's never been, thank God, with myself or anyone else that I know of, any serious altercation or anything like that. Yeah. But that's like, if something like that ever did happen, it would be an absolute 1 in a million chance. Like that's, for the most part, football fans aren't like that in Ireland anyway.
And you've never got to do any of the European trips or anything yet?
Do you know what I did? I got one.
Did you?
When I came in, yeah, so I came in off the back of league wins, cup wins, doubles, European trips, and came in 2019 and we had Progress Niederkorn in Luxembourg.
Oh yeah.
So I got to go to that. And I think we lost the first leg. We won the second leg, 2-1. So we won the match, but they had gone through on aggregate or whatever it was. That game over there, I think we were 45 minutes. We would have had Rangers in the next round, and Stephen Gerrard was in charge of Rangers at the time. So you can imagine us salivating at the thought of that, the crowd you'd get for that and everything.
I remember there was rumours, would it move to Parky Queeve or whatever, like
but that would have been incredible. I think we were 45 minutes from winning it. I think it was a 2-1 win. They scored late on, as far as I can remember, over there. But that was it. It was funny actually coming back on the plane for that. Remember, it was a small plane. It was just a pilot, and there was like one flight attendant. And I remember she was making the usual announcement they make, and she was saying, on behalf of myself, the pilot, and everyone at whatever the company was called, we'd like to congratulate you on your win tonight because we won the match. And I remember all the heads in the plane just went, all the heads dropped because, yes, we won, but we were out.
They probably just looked up the bloody Google
Probably,
score.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a European trip. And I was like, I'll be fine. Sure, look, we'll be grand. We'll get another one next year. No.
5 years
I think
on.
we narrowly avoided. Did we narrowly avoid relegation, or was there a bit of a cushion in 2019? And then in 2020 was 2020, we obviously got relegated with half a season played.
With COVID and everything,
Yeah.
It top
Mick was talking about that last week or 2 weeks ago when he was on, about how we were relegated in a petrol station on the way back from Sligo. I remember Erica and Mick travelled in the van, and I travelled with Aina, and Harps were 2-0 up against Bowes while we stopped in the petrol station. I remember we were driving, I think it was Ennis we were driving through when I got the full-time notification, and I remember just looking at Aina and I was like, right, we're relegated. What now? What happens now? But yeah, then 2021, first division, disappointing season. 22, won the league, got up, thought, brilliant, back to the Premier now, build on this.
And then down again.
And then back down. So
you've had a roller coaster of a time in those 5 years.
Yeah, maybe there is a correlation with the whole Howey out thing, because it's since I came in. So
it's up and down.
Maybe there's a bit of merit to it. But
That bit of this bit out.
Yeah, maybe it's me.
And
But,
when did you, going back before that, when did you start following City?
my first ever Cork City game was the 2005 league win. So
You said that before.
Yeah,
So that was your very first
my
match.
uncle brought me, my brother, and my cousin to that.
Your uncle did?
Yeah, and we went to that, and
Were you young enough at the time?
yeah, it would have been, was that 2005? Born in 96, yeah, so
9,
9 or
but
10
you remember it.
I remember it, yeah. The only reason I remember it is because the celebrations at the end, I was like, oh, it's this what
Sticks with
football
you.
in Ireland is like. Do you know what I mean? So that was brilliant. I'd love to say I was back every game after that. I wasn't.
But
Because
at
you know
that age,
yourself,
you depend on people to bring you.
you
and
go when
stuff.
people can bring you.
Yeah.
So we went to the odd couple of games in probably 6, 7, 8. Spoke about it before with like when the club was wound up and all that. Sure, I didn't know what was going on.
No,
I was
you
just
were
a
still young.
kid going to matches to watch football. So I started kind of going every week. Oh, geez, I don't remember. Probably when I was old enough to go myself.
Late teens, probably.
Yeah, like 2012, maybe 13. So that's when I'd be there every Friday, no matter what. Obviously started going to away games and stuff like that. And yeah, here we are all these years later. Never would have thought that I'd end up working, not just at Cork City, but in football. Like, it never would have been the plan or anything like that. But here we are.
It's amazing.
I enjoy
though.
it.
You know, that, you know, from a moment where you can be brought to a match and then you can combine that, but obviously you had a passion with design separately to football.
Yeah.
You know, but the whole YouTube thing was starting at the time as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so everything aligned in many ways.
It's just, it kind of kicked off this weird chain of events that led to being here. And honestly now, I would have never, I'm a Cork City fan, I'm a football fan, but that would have always been separate. Like the whole content creation, that side of that sort of world would have always been what I wanted to work in. I never would have combined the two and thought this is where we'd be. But yeah, look, it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, and I often think that, like, you know, not everyone can play football. Like, you know, there's loads of people or play to a top level.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't have a career in the industry.
Yeah. True,
And,
yeah.
and I've often said that to people as well. Like, you know,
There's a lot more to it than just the 18 players in your match day squad or whatever it is. There's obviously the coaches, there's
I even say that to
photographers,
students all the
social media,
time.
stuff like that. Yeah.
You know, in today's world, like if you're into content or you're doing marketing or whatever, that you're, you know, into videography or something like that, you can now get into any industry because there's so much stuff needs to be made, so much stuff needs to be promoted, talked about.
Yeah.
And not just in this, like there's other things as well. Like, I mean, you could be doing the accounts for the club, you could be doing
Exactly.
whatever.
If you look
sales.
at my role, if someone said 20 years ago, there'd be someone in this position at Cork City or in any football club, you'd be like, sure, that has no relevance. So like 10, 20 years from now, there could be another role with ourselves or with a football club that would have been unheard of today. So it's an ever sort of evolving industry. Like it's not just a case of you have to be a football player to work in football, stuff like that.
Like 16 years ago, 16 years ago when I was in the club, we were putting stuff up on People's Republic of Cork, like,
yeah,
you know, and setting up little forums in there.
Yeah.
Like there was no Facebook. There was no, we weren't using Twitter.
There was no club podcast. There was no graphic design.
So God only knows where it goes next.
Exactly.
You know, like, no, we have LOI TV. You know, there's so many different aspects.
Exactly.
No?
And the League of Ireland as a whole, like we're talking in a broad sense here of football and where football can go. But like the League of Ireland as a whole, like it's on this nearly precipice of greatness, like where it's already exploding, but it's nearly going to explode again and reach, like there's a feeling amongst League of Ireland fans in general that like we're on this crazy trajectory now that can even take off more again. And hopefully it does. And hopefully the whole league grows and we grow.
It's nice to see there's a bit of competition as well between Virgin and RT.
TG Carr are coming into it now as well, yeah.
It needed that.
It did?
I actually would think it would be great if one of the sports TV channels took one of the rights packages as well, because, you know, it might put another bit of...
Yeah, I suppose in an ideal world, you'd love to see a match a week on RTE, Virgin, TG Carr, and maybe one on Sky Sports, TNT, something like that, because they showed Northern Irish League. I said they still might on Sky Sports, and like even if it's just the odd one here and there, just particular, they're crying out for something to watch. I know now they've got if there's no Euros, if there's no international, there's probably a couple of weeks where there's nothing to show. Stick one or two on. Come to the Cross. We'll make you feel welcome. Show a match from the Cross, and
even cover the FAI Cup or something.
Yeah,
you know,
cup football, no matter what country it is, cup football is brilliant. So if it got to a point where that happened, and I think TG Carr now are showing women's games, I'd love to see a point where they start showing men's games as well and just grow. They're doing a great job of promoting women's football and growing women's football. If you grow the men's game, just the men's game or the women's game, just grow Irish football.
Grow it.
And they're all doing, everyone seems to be working together to do it, and it's working. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it creates much more jobs. I mean,
exactly,
what started off as a hobby for you has become a full-time job.
Exactly. Like I've spoken to lads at the FAI, and there's only a couple of clubs where there's people in like a paid media position or a paid whatever position. And like I've spoken to Mark Scanlon and stuff, and they want to get to a point where every club elevates to the point where they have a paid media person. Standards improve across the board in terms of the content stuff, the promotion of every club, which in turn promotes the league, because when the club's doing well, the league is doing well, and vice versa. So we're getting there. We kind of have the uniqueness down here that we're Cork City in Cork, whereas in Dublin there's obviously 4 or 5 clubs. They're all competing for kind of their own areas and stuff. We have all of Cork to pick from. We've got people coming up, you know yourself, from like Skibbereen, West Cork, all different corners of the county and beyond. We've got people coming from Limerick and Kerry and stuff still. So if we got to a point where every League of Ireland club had paid media, even more than one,
it would be fantastic.
You have media departments or media teams rather than a media person.
A social media lead, another person that looks after videography. And I'm not talking about for match analysis, I'm talking about for
general stuff.
For
promotion, match day.
Yeah.
I'd love to do stuff. This is an idea I've had for ages. I'd love to do stuff around the city centre and I don't know, get Corky out and we go around, do videos around town. Maybe not in this weather, because poor Corky might be melting in this weather, but
was it Eunice or something there, the guy that played for City before there? Didn't he do a thing inside in town before where he was kicking the ball to people?
Yeah. TikTok. Eunice and Issa are brilliant on TikTok as well.
They still do it?
They do.
Australia or something?
He was in Australia. I think he's back. I still see them on TikTok the odd time. They could be old videos. They could be new videos. I don't really know.
That was very clever. Like they kick the ball and then they'd say, oh, this is, you know, Henry or this is Ronaldo.
They'd rate someone's touch or rate someone's pass. Yeah, it's stuff like that is good. Like that isn't necessarily Cork City content, but again, it's
still good
football content in Cork. We can tie it in somehow.
You could, when it comes to football, it should be, when it comes to Cork and football, it should be us.
It's us,
you know, so if we can tie into all of that.
Cove have their own island down below. They can, we'll take the rest of Cork.
So Listen, we managed to get a good conversation going here.
We've filled an episode anyway.
We filled an episode. I suppose it was long overdue as well, in many ways.
Maybe. The one or two people who wanted to hear that story might enjoy it.
Hopefully some of the younger listeners, because I have seen firsthand how many of the younger people love watching all the TikTok lives and all that stuff. So we have that audience as well. And maybe this would be like a special episode for them, because we spoke about I suppose the e-gaming and stuff like that with
exactly.
the
It's a different sort of... touched a few different areas there. And people who might, people who might see me on a Friday thinking, what the hell does that fella do?
Yeah.
We might fill a few gaps there.
On the Twitter all the time. Like,
exactly.
There is much more than
There's
just
more
Twitter.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
Yeah, and there'll be much more to it towards the end of the season. Did I see that we have a bit of a big gig coming up towards the end of the year as well?
We do. Something new for us, but something that I think will be successful and most importantly will be funny.
Okay.
So we're having a comedy night at the Everyman on the 31st of October, which is Halloween night.
Just after the Jazz Festival. So
yeah, just after the Jazz weekend. So basically Andrew Ryan.
Haunted comedy.
I imagine you'll have some people showing up in fancy dress as well. But basically the concept behind it, Andrew Ryan, obviously very well-known Cork comedian.
Yeah.
Another fella who's doing massive numbers on TikTok as well.
He's up the north, but he's originally from Cork.
Yeah, his nephew is actually playing in the academy as well, Louis Ryan, goalkeeper. But Andrew Ryan is going to MC this comedy night. Andrew Ryan is hilarious. I don't know if you've seen him on TikTok.
I've seen the odd few stuff. He's very good.
Gas. He's going to be joined by Chris Kent, Emma Doran, Shane Todd, and John Cleary. All absolutely hilarious. I've seen a lot of these. All are absolutely brilliant.
Chris Kent is hilarious.
Chris Kent is he's so dry and so funny. I think that'll be really fun.
Emma Doran's funny as well, to be honest. No, I've seen her she was on that show, I think, with Graham Norton on Prime there.
Oh, was it? I actually haven't seen that. Yeah,
actually funny enough.
Shane Todd, another one, brilliant, hilarious, and John Cleary would be a very familiar face to people. He's been in a lot of TV shows on RT and stuff. Absolutely hilarious. But that's it. It's basically a fundraising night. The profits will be going to our women's teams and our academy teams. €35 for a ticket. Judging by how funny these guys are, I think that's value for money, because this is going to be good. But yeah, there'll be more information on that on our website, on the Everyman's website and stuff like that. But yeah, we can confirm now that that's all happening.
It's something to look forward to at the end of the season.
Exactly. It's something different as well. Like, there's no point always doing the same things. You want to push the boat out, try new ideas. Might attract people to that who don't know much about Cork City and might say,
there's plenty of comedians in the shed every week anyway. With
exactly, yeah, and on social media, trust me. But this could be something fun, and we'll see the reaction to it. Hopefully we get a sold out Everyman, which we should, because to be fair, tickets are fairly reasonably priced, and as I said, all the names we mentioned there are absolutely hilarious.
I look forward to that. That'll be good.
That'll be good. And obviously, you know yourself, if you're in the front couple of rows at a comedy show, you're a target. You're a target. So I will be sitting as far back as I possibly can at the Everyman.
Be at the door, waiting to get out.
I'll wait outside, yeah. But Thursday, 31st of October at the Everyman. That's going to be a good evening.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that one. But before that, there's a couple of matches this weekend coming up anyway.
Yeah, another very busy weekend for us this weekend, actually. We're spending a lot of time over the other side of the country, because we're in Ballybuffet on Friday night. Men are taking on Finn Harps at 6 o'clock, so Friday evening, actually, not Friday night.
It's an early trip so for the lads, is it?
Yeah, we'll be on the road early. The lads, I think, will be going up the night before, but we'll be on the road early Friday morning. 6 o'clock kick-off. Finn Harps are having trouble with their floodlights above, so they're being forced to play matches early before the sun goes down. And then on Saturday, we're staying up that side of the world because the women are in Sligo.
Okay.
7 o'clock kick-off.
Well, at least they're boating on the way back down anyway.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I don't mind going to Dublin and coming back the next day, but I'm definitely staying up in Sligo. That's a bit...
Only got to go back up to Sligo.
Even by my standards, that's a bit much, so I will stay up.
It's a 4-hour trek to Sligo.
It is, yeah.
There's no shortcut.
The last time we had Finn Harps away, I actually stayed in Sligo myself as well afterwards, so it is a very long trip. But yeah, hopefully we get 2 more good results this weekend. Back to league action, obviously, for the girls as well. The cup is put to one side. And they
had a good league form there.
Yeah, there's a bit of momentum behind them.
There was momentum.
Really good performances against Bows.
Bows was a great
against
result. And DLR Waves got a draw as well, did they?
DLR Waves a draw that should have been a win.
Yeah.
So there is momentum there. And we're making a lot of progress from where we started the season, and hopefully that continues against Sligo. Sligo are also a very good side. So it will be, more than anything, it'll be a very good match to watch. So if you're not making the trip to Sligo, you're looking for a match to watch on Saturday, that's available on LOI TV. If you have the season
weekend
pass.
away for people up the country. If
Exactly,
they
there's
had time off.
I'm sure there's a few that will do that because it is it's a part of the country that people might not ordinarily be going to from Cork.
The one good thing about the first division is the different trips as well, though, isn't it?
Exactly, you're not up and down to Dublin all the time. We get spoiled. We get to go to Cove. We get to go to Kerry, Limerick,
Wexford, Longford,
Athlone.
Yeah, so there's
the glamour.
The glamour. Then it's and then it's on to Kerry in the bank holiday weekend. Like, so, yeah, there's always somewhere different.
Exactly, yeah. And look, Sligo and Donegal, they're beautiful parts of the country as well. So there's worse places to be stuck on a Friday and a Saturday.
And at this time of the year, nice drives as well, actually.
When the weather is good like this, anyway, 100%. We bring a pair of shorts.
Maybe not in January or something. Like, thanks for the God of summer football. Like, yeah.
I think it was February we were up in Finn Park last time. So
rough enough.
Pitch was heavy that night as well, yeah. So it'll be a bit better this time. And yeah, as I said, hopefully another good result. We're 7 clear in the men's league and we can
keep it going. Keep
that going, put a bit more space, hopefully. And the women can hopefully pick up another 3 points and push us up the table there as well.
Yeah. Onwards and upwards. And so next week we'll have another voice probably in the studio. Who knows, we might even have 2 at some stage again. We had 2 last week, so we're down to just ourselves this week. But no, I think hopefully people got to know about you a bit more and what you do at the club.
It might alleviate the Howey out shouts. It might make more.
In this time.
It might make more Howey out shouts. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see the reaction.
You'll be asking for more of us out. Not even
maybe, yeah. But delighted to share the story, give an insight to what I do, and obviously let us know if you enjoyed it, if you want to hear more from myself or Stephen, and if you've any other questions as to the goings on at the club and who does what, we'd be delighted to have more staff in and share what other people do, because it is very much a case of you'll see people on a Friday night who you might see every Friday night in a Cork City jacket in a lanyard, and you're thinking, what did he do? What does she actually do?
Yeah.
So we're happy to give an insight into that, and hopefully you enjoyed that.
And enjoy the weekend, and hopefully another couple of wins across the board, men and women and academy, and we'll talk to you next week.
Have we a question for this week?
Maybe we should do something about your favourite design or something, favourite poster or something, or favourite video. Maybe favourite video.
Favourite video of the last couple of years, yeah. Be it a promo video, challenge video, whatever it was. Let us know what your favourite was, what your least favourite was.
Yeah,
and we can have a look in the archive and bring out something that
maybe made you laugh or made you angry. Maybe,
hopefully didn't make you cry or make you angry, but let us know either way, and we can have a chat about that next week then.
Yeah,
so, as always, thanks for listening. Leave us a rating and make sure you're following us on Spotify.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
See you next week.